What's up? I'm Adam. That's Christina, and gonna kind of detail the events of last Monday, July 18th, when we were at Donabate Beach in Ireland. First, let me just say that, like, every day I say this prayer, and it's about this long, and it's just, God, show me what your will is for me, and give me the strength and courage to carry it out. That's it. I never know what he's going to put in front of me, and I definitely wasn't expecting this, but I can definitely say that he gave me the strength and the courage to carry out the things that happened that day. With that being said, I'm going to show a quick clip of exactly where we were. So this is where everything went down. This is Donabate Beach in Ireland, close to Dublin. On the left-hand side, you can see the beach area, and on the right, you can see this rocky kind of outcrop. And at the bottom, you can see like white right above the eye in Irish. That's about where everything that I'm about to detail took place. You can see how crazy the terrain is. So you can see the beach, the rock area, all that stuff. And we had just been enjoying a day. We were at a castle, and Rocco and Lisa wanted to take us down to a beach. And by the time we got down there, it was cold, right? Like, the Irish Sea is cold, and the wind coming off the sea is cold, and it's kind of like, it's borderline miserable, right? Like, being American and going to a beach that's cold during the summer just doesn't make sense. But we get there, and we're kind of like, we're just going to make the best of it. Everybody wants to kind of mess around or whatever. And so we walk down this little area, and on the left-hand side is the rocks, the right-hand side is the beach. And Gabby, 13-year-old, she was like, Adam, come out on the rocks with me.
Say who Gabby is.
Gabby's my stepdaughter.
My kid.
Her kid. So I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So we go out on the rocks, and we're kind of walking out, and in that picture you can see it's at least 100 meters from the furthest part all the way and it's at least 100 meters, maybe more. So Gabby and I are walking out, and she and I hear a kid say, there's a man that needs help. So we're like, what? And he said, it's a man down there, he needs help, he's got a jellyfish on his face. I'm like, all right, that's weird, but all right. And you can see, I'm gonna put in a clip right here, because Christina was actually taking pictures at this point, and she uses the live pictures. So I'm going to throw in a clip right here, and you can see where my walking goes from normal walking to very methodical. Something is up. And you can see it very clear in this video that I'll post right now.
But I think this is as good as it gets here. But I think this is as good as it gets here.
Bye, guys.
See ya. See ya. Oh, there goes Adam. Oh, there goes Adam. Oh, shit.
Now, and at the end of it, you'll see me turn and yell to Justin. You'll hear me say Justin, and you'll hear Christina then say, oh shit, because she knows something is really wrong at this point. What you don't hear in the video is me actually saying the whole thing, which is Justin, call 911 or whatever, because I don't know what 911 is in Europe, and I'm hoping he can just figure it out, right? So I'm immediately passing this responsibility off to Justin, because I see a guy in the water. That's all I see, is like the head of a guy over the rocks where I'm going. What I run up to next was not what I was expecting. And the main reason I have Christina is here, she can fill in some gaps, and I'll probably get emotional, and she'll need to just step in, because this whole thing was pretty traumatic for everybody. So when I'm running out there, and running is probably not the right term. You can see I'm having to skip through
There's just a sense of urgency in your step.
But my point is, these are slippery rocks, they're jagged rocks, they're soaking wet, and I can't just fully run, so I'm having to hop left to right to get to where I'm going. So I get out there and I look down, and there's a man in the water with a boy who is dead. I have no other word to describe the condition of the boy except that he was dead. The man in the water says, he's screaming, help, help, you gotta help me get him out of the water. He's not breathing, you gotta help me get him out of the water. And at this point, I'm just like, fuck. So I'm up probably 3 feet above him, and I'm squatting down, trying to reach down, I'm trying to get some leverage. So I reach down and I grab this kid's arm, and it slips out. He's freezing cold, it's wet, I can't grip him. And I tell the guy in the water, I'm like, you have to get him a little bit higher, because the only way that I know I'm going to get him up is if I can get underneath his shoulders. Now, mind you, this kid, we find out after the fact, is 5'1". He weighs 115 pounds. At this point, he's got a stomach full and lungs full of water, and he's in a wetsuit, which is soaking wet. So this 115 pounds is significantly more than 115 pounds. But somehow the guy in the water, this guy's a fucking legend, is able to lift Patty, is the name of the boy, lift him up enough where I can get my arms underneath his shoulders. And I pull him up and onto me, and I follow my ass on the rocks. And it's at this point, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Christina can tell you what she saw.
So then I'm running at trying to get out there because I knew something happened, and I'm like, I just need to get out there. So I'm yelling at my oldest to go watch my youngest and I slipped multiple times on the rocks. And then all of a sudden I look up, and there's Adam, and he's turning around and takes Patty and literally throws him over his shoulder. And the image in my mind was like, that's Thor. Like, literally just, you could see his face. Adam's face was bright red, and just this like, just power from God, like throws Patty over his shoulder and musters 2 to 3 steps. And I mean, these are enormous steps. I don't even know how he did it. And then Adam goes down with Patty. Do you want me to keep going?
No, I got it.
And then, so now you're down with him on the rock.
Yeah, so I get him. I remember picking him up. I don't know how I did it. I just remember picking this kid up and saying, we got to go. Like, that's all. We got to go. Threw him over my shoulder, and I'm making these steps. And like I said, it's got to be 115 pounds of dead weight at this point, with all of the water and his gear, his wetsuit. And so I take these big steps, and on the third one, my body was like, you're done. You're done. Because my legs were stretched.
Really big steps.
And I fell, and Patty's on my shoulder, and when I fall, his waist is in front of me, and his body flings down to the right. And when I say down, it's because the rock was a ledge. His upper half was sloped down this rock. And his head hit the rocks, and his fucking head is bleeding because he's been beat up in the water. And I just reached down and grabbed him by the wetsuit and picked him up and put him down in front of me. And at this point, I see just foam coming out of his nose and mouth. And I don't know why, I just started doing chest compressions straight away. He was blue. He wasn't breathing. Like the kid, Patty was dead. He wasn't there.
I saw the chest compressions, and I actually started talking in Arabic to myself, and I was like, I gotta get out there, and I think I started praying because I saw you go down, and I was like, oh, this is bad. But all this was like in Arabic, and then I was getting out there. You had done 2 rounds of chest compressions.
So I do the chest compressions, and each compression, more foam is coming out of his mouth, which to me is a great sign, because his stomach and his lungs are full of air, or full of water, and it's coming out because the foam is a mixture of oxygen, the air, and water.
You turned him on a
And so after maybe 15 chest compressions, I rolled him over onto his side, and I was hitting his back and just saying, come on, man, let's go. Come on, buddy. And more water was coming out, and I rolled him back over, and I started chest compressions again. And maybe about the 5th one, I just feel his heart, pounding. It was just go, which great. Now he's got a pulse. So at this point, Justin, another friend of mine, an American, he's on the phone. He's saying, "Is he breathing?" And I'm looking down, and I'm like, "Yes," but it was very labored. It was like a fish out of water. It was the body's natural gasp trying to get oxygen, which to me was a good sign. His body's working. So this kid is clearly a fighter. His body is like, let's go. At this point, now there's a woman in a bikini who we found out is a nurse. A lifeguard shows up. Justin is by my side, and Christina is there, and I have to just walk away. At this point, I can't do anymore. I've done enough at this point. I just had to walk away, and I just broke down crying. Christina saw me like kind of hunched over, and she walked over. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then she went back to tend to Patty. And so she was there with him, and she felt that he was cold, and she was like, "Guys, we got to get him warm." And she's like rubbing his head.
I was rubbing his arm. I was like, "You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay." Rubbing his head. Like, I just felt like he needed to hear a voice. The lifeguard had to turn him over on his side.
So he's in the recovery position. We got him turned over.
And she was on the phone with like with I don't know who she called,
Yeah.
but like someone.
The
trying to get an
emergency
ambulance.
services
Yeah.
or whatever.
And we were just all kind of.
So the lifeguard pulls out a solar blanket, and she lays it on him. And at this point, Rocco, our other friend who's from Dublin, he shows up with a couple towels. So we put that over him.
Just like holding him on.
Yeah, and so like at this point, I step away. Like we get the towels on him, and I'm done. Like I feel like I'm gonna throw up. The pain in my shoulder, and my elbow, and my back, because the adrenaline is kind of wearing off, and like picking him up just wrecked. It hurt a lot. I didn't notice it at the time, but it was after. So anyway, I step away, and I'm just kind of like trying to take in like what is going on, and I keep looking over at Patty, and his eyes they're not. He's not there. He's not there, but his body is still gasping for air, very labored breathing. And I'd say after about 5 minutes or so, you see his eyes come to, and it was like they were not there, and then he looked at somebody, and then it was gone again, and it was like he's coming back. And at this point, everybody's just kind of waiting on the ambulance and whoever else to get there.
They said the ambulance was there, so I actually called Gabby, and I was like, go up there and get them down here. Just get them down here.
So a few minutes later, the mom and dad finally show up. This is probably 20 minutes after the initial, "Hey, somebody needs help." And then the mom and dad show up, and Justin, my friend Justin, helped the mom get to her son. And you can see they are just freaked out, as they should be. It's Patty and Michelle are their names. We find out later. And then the guy that got him out of the water just disappeared. We had no idea where he went. So anyway, the paramedics get there. They get him on a stretcher. It takes 4 people to walk him to the ambulance over the rocks. And so they get him to the ambulance, and the dad's like, he comes up to me and says thanks. And the guy from the water, I said, "That's the guy you need to thank right there." And his knees were shredded. Both of his knees. I cannot imagine what that guy was going through in the water. I cannot imagine it. Once the father hugged him and the father got on the ambulance, that guy, he just broke down crying. And I walked up to him and I gave him a big hug, and I was like, "Well done, man. Like you are a beast." And he was like, "I thought he was snorkeling." He goes, "I saw him face down and I thought I saw a snorkel." And he's just beating himself up. I'm like, "Bro, we did what we had to do. Like he's alive. Like, you did an amazing job." And then that was it. And that was it. We went and had lunch, and it was just like that's a lot to take in. This is all that I have from that whole ordeal. That and this cut on my pinky. Besides messing up my shoulder and stuff, but that other guy, his knees were just smoked. But anyway, we continue our trip. On Thursday? On Thursday, we were leaving Killarney and headed back to Dublin. And our first stop to get gas, Lisa, Rocco's wife, who they're from Dublin, she comes up to me in the car. She goes, hey, the mom is trying to get in touch with you. She made a post on Instagram. I'll have Rocco send it to you so you can see. And I immediately reached out. And the reason I'm making this video, I did it with her permission. So Michelle knows that I'm making this video. Is I just wanted to clarify everybody's roles in the matter, because when the initial post that came out was 3 people were critical in saving Patty Jr.'s life. Like this American helped me onto the rocks and apparently helped him get out of the water, and then the nurse did CPR and blah, blah, blah. All of those things were true in some form, but like each role was different. The nurse didn't do any CPR. I did that. And Justin was the one that got her from the rocks and not out of the water. And so they just kind of meshed like the Americans all into one, which is fine. But she was profusely thanking Justin, like, thank you so much for getting me to my son. And I thank Justin for calling 911 or whatever. I don't even know what number he called, but he got through to somebody. And it all worked out. And I've been struggling with it for a week. I haven't been sleeping well because I've been living in this world of like, what if? And I saw Michelle made a post, I think yesterday, which was real similar, like, what if we had lost him? And it's a very hard thing to wrap your head around. But I'm glad we were there. And I just wanted to put this video out there to kind of detail some of those things that we went through. So do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it.
I hope that helps answer some questions.
Everyone who was around him was like loving him and like doing everything that they could to, just.
Yeah. Everything played a role. And the reason I bring up the very beginning about God's will and give me the strength and courage to carry it out, because I can't explain how I did what I did. I have no idea. It's such a blur. It was just action. It was just go. And when I saw that guy in the water, I didn't know what I was going to walk into. It was just all of these things we had to be in Ireland. We had to be at that beach at that time.
Gabby had to say, go to the rocks.
Gabby had to be like, Adam, come to the rocks with me. All of these things had to happen, or Patty wouldn't be here. So, Gabby wants to say hello real quick before we end this.
She's the one that wanted to go to the rocks. Ow. Hi.
Okay.
That's it?
Well, I don't know. Am I supposed to say something else?
No, you're good.
Okay.
So, anyway, if you have any questions, reach out. See ya. So I'm splicing this in here so that we can add a little something about when I said to Justin, call 911 or whatever. He calls 911, and I guess it connects to 999. And so they're asking, he's like, we got a kid who's just drowned at the beach. And the people on the phone are like, where are you? And he's like, Ireland. And they're like, can you be more specific? And he's like, I'm at a beach. And they're like, that doesn't help. And he goes, Shoreline Hotel. They go, still, we don't understand. And Justin is like, are we speaking the same English? Like, somehow they finally got their wires together and were able to get the right people to the right place. So just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
I just want Patty's mom to know that once Adam was like, the nurse was there, Justin was there, like Rocco got the towels, I was there, Adam was off to the side. I checked in with Adam, I was like, are you okay? And then I just saw Patty like on the ground, and I was just like, shit, this kid's like by himself. And that's when I like went over to him and I was like on my knees beside him, and I was just like, he's got to be warm, and I was just trying to I just wanted him to hear like a voice, so I just kept saying to him like, you're gonna be okay, and I was rubbing his arm, and then I started rubbing his head, because everyone was just sort of like, is he breathing, is he moving, is he this, is he that? And I just felt like it was really important to be like, you're going to be okay. Like, I was like, he can hear me, I know he can hear me. And I just wanted, what's her name, Michelle? Michelle, I just wanted you to know, like, from mother to mother, like, I was like, this is a kid, and like I was trying to be motherly towards him for you. Like, he was in good hands, we were all there, but I just thought that was really important. We weren't just like, oh, is he breathing, is he this, is he that? Like, I was really trying to like show him love, I guess. So that's all I wanted to say.